Okay, can you make it a bit bigger or can you slideshow? Okay, can we go directly to that slide on that with the Santa Claus? I mean, the next, next to that, and still, all right. Okay, so now we'll be talking about the exam type and the coverage. So it will be an MCQ that is from number 1 up to number 78, and the remaining 79 up to 100, it's a case-based multiple choice questions. So the coverage would then be from the very beginning up to the end, and we are also trying to cover the final performance cases. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so here is the exam blueprint. Okay. The presentation is changing now. Even the font is changing. Well, anyway, it's just the same. So this is the exam blueprint for this subject. Please check for yourself. You can take a screenshot. And these are the topics. So that is covering from module 1 up to the last module. So as you can see, as to the revised Bloom's taxonomy, you may notice there are lots of questions which are categorized under a simple recall or remembering. And there are some who would require understanding, application, analysis, evaluation, and creating for just a few things. So if you look into that, so 100 questions. So you see for yourself, as you can see it, there are 40 questions which are just simple recall. And by topic, if you notice, the topic quizzes a lot of questions would be on professionalism and Bill of Rights, and followed by medical liability. Okay, you can actually have that one. Next slide, please. Okay, so um, let us answer this question. Okay, so since I don't have a very good audio here, and I don't have with me my headset because, as you know, I have already explained to you the circumstances where I was earlier. So let me just read it for question number 1. So, who is known as the father of modern medicine? You can actually answer it on the chat box as proof of life. Agree. Number 1. Oh, how wouldn't I know if you're there? If you didn't ask and you don't also answer. Okay, C. Letter C, letter C. Okay. So there are quite a debate with this now because some books they claim it's letter C, but on our part, whether or not it's indicated modern or not modern, the safest answer would be letter D. Okay. Number two, what is the term given to the non-medical electronic devices implanted into the body to increase innate capacities? Is it indespeakables, insidables, implant, or nanochip? It's a very easy as buying soda. Okay, and it's very clear. It's letter B, insidables. Let's move on to the next question. Which of the following statements describe vicarious liability? An employer can be held liable for the negligence of its employees during the course of their employment. Is it B, an employee must have been in employment for at least 1 year? Is it the negligence must have been of a very serious nature, or all? So if one is working in a certain company, like in a hospital, yes, A, there's a D. Um, Actually, it doesn't need to be very serious. You have to remember that one. It doesn't need to be very serious. So the correct answer for that would be okay. So an employer can be held liable for the negligence of its employees during the course of their employment. So an employer can never be liable if the one who is at fault is not even employed by this employer. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. Which of the following situations exempts the doctor from attending to emergency? A, is it he is attending another emergency? B, his geographical location? C, he is out of post? Or is it only A and B, or all? Let me see your answers. Geographical location, attending to another emergency, out of post. Mm-hmm. What does it mean when we say out of post? When it's out of post, like when you are supposed to be staying in emergency room and you move out to the other location somewhere in the hospital, or moving out of the hospital, that is out of post. Okay, Jubil, can you show us the answer? Okay, so it's only A and B. Okay, when you say you're out of post, for example, you're supposed to be at the ER and you're moving into, like, you're going into the ward, that is not a reason. Like, you cannot anymore attend to such emergency. For example, there would be a code and you are, for example, you are at the dietary department. It doesn't exempt you from moving into the emergency room. Okay, next number. Mm, I have corrected it, pero anyway, which of the following is not among the top benefits of becoming a doctor? Okay. Um, Earning a high salary. Yes. High graduate employment rate and job security. Yes. Career satisfaction. And the letter D, opportunities. Yes, opportunities, but not to meet the right person. Other opportunities, like opportunities of um other circumstances, like meeting other people with the same interest, work related, not Mr. Right or Miss Right. Okay, we'll move on to the next number. What do you call the moral obligation to help, serve, or benefit others? Is it compassion? Um, Ekuma, you're raising your hand.
Doc, sorry, it was a mistake. I was meant to put my answer, but I mistakenly raised my hand. Sorry, Doc.
Dear, I'm sorry, dear. My I could hardly hear it. It's not that clear. Can you just type it? Okay, so anyway, the answer is it's very clear. It's letter B. Okay, let's move on to the next number. What underlies the medical maxim primum non nocere? It's very clear. No, no other answer for this. It's supposed to be very automatic. Again, it's non-maleficence. Next number. What principle is chosen by persons behind the metaphor veil of ignorance? Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you would love to hear like mnemonics, just in case you would forget, just in case you would forget, I am using this mnemonic: ignorance, egg, egalitarian, right? Okay, so very comic to hear, but it actually goes well. Let's go to number 10. What refers to one's ability to make a particular decision? Is it autonomy, voluntariness, competency, rationalization? Okay, you have the same answer, and that's letter C. Let's see, letter C. We'll move on to number 11. What refers to an individual whose personal information is processed? Is it patient, data subject, private client, confidential person? Very good. Okay, do not prolong it. Juvil, show us the answer because they're having the right answer. Okay, let's move on immediately to number 12. Oh, wala mo number. Whatever. Which of the following is not a sensitive personal information? Is it the race, sexual orientation, political opinion, or company address? Something which in people would try to ask you and you are not compelled to answer. It's your, of course, race, sexual orientation, political opinion. But you can always say you are connected with SWOMED, right? Okay, so because that's the answer. Okay, let's move on. A physician may apply a procedure to the patient even if it is against the patient's wishes, if with the following conditions. The procedure is necessary for the good of the patient. Yes, it may be. The procedure is required by law. There is implied consent with the patient's spouse. The procedure is free. Actually, if you look into that, these are all correct answers. But the best answer is yes, that's letter B. Okay, let's move on. What do you call the secrecy of information in a physician-patient relationship when demanded by law? Is it private communication? Is it ethical information, confidential information, or a privileged communication? So by the lines with the words itself, it's a privilege already. So that is the correct answer. If I just look at your answers, no, you are kind of ready. I'm just hoping, no. Let's move on to number 14. Actually, there are only 30 questions here. Number 14, what is the deontological point of view on truth? So it's about the truth. It's about truth telling. Is it everyone has a strict duty to tell the truth, even it might be harmful? Competent patients should be told the truth regardless of the consequences. Not telling the truth can provide maximization of the happiness and interest of all concerned. Or patients will vary in their ability to understand. If you look into that, they could be all of them would be correct. But the best answer, yeah, you're correct. Okay, let's move on to number 15. This is the utilitarian perspective on telling lies. Okay, so what is it? A lie is told with the clear intention of achieving good. Puede. Telling a lie can maximize the happiness and interest of all concerned. Ah, you have varied answers already. Giving too much truthful information can be overwhelming. Yes. And the answer is already being given. They could probably all be correct, but the best answer for that is the one which is colored blue. So think about it. Some patients do not wish to know some particular information that most patients would want and need to know. This is according to utility. That's why it's utilitarian. So not all can utilize as a clue. Okay, number 16. Which of the following does not describe abortion in the Philippines? Is it revised Penal Code Act 3815? Doing it in any circumstance is illegal. For centuries, it has been considered a criminal act, and the criminal provisions may contain exceptions as to save the life of the pregnant woman. Remember, it's in the Philippines, ha? Okay, so your answer is correct because it is in the Philippines. There is not even um provision as to save the life of the pregnant woman. As you can remember, in the other countries, they do have, but in the Philippines, no. Okay, number 17. Which of the following is not true on DNR? The patient or family members decide? Correct ba? The doctor orders in the chart? Yes, correct. Once DNR is ordered, the status applies until the patient dies. Correct? What makes it not true? Let's look onto letter D. Directives in the use of resuscitative measures such as CPR medication should be specified. So, if the family members would not opt for like to prolong that one, like to give on medications, they don't want it anymore. So you really have to specify. It should be included. But when you order in the chart DNR, it doesn't mean that when you order DNR, it would be until the patient dies. You have to update it like 24 hours after you have to update with the family members. But of course, you have to say it with empathy and compassion, not just kaya wa man ni siya mamatay yung simitong plano. So not like that. No, it should be again with empathy and compassion. And again, you have to update. So the answer for that is letter C. Next, which of the following is our true on spiritual care at the end of life? Okay, matikman. The physician should not explore the patient's past and current spiritual life. True? We should. Spirituality may span affirmation of specific religious beliefs central to the life of the dying. Yes. So what with the letter C? Religion is not part of the patient's management. Yeah, it may be not part of the management, therapeutic management, but you'll never know what it means to that person, like if he is very spiritual or not at all. Sometimes it's the only one the patient has it's the only thing that the patient has been waiting for quite a long time, no? Di lang yun mamatay. Spiritual issues should be left as responsibility of the family members. So, like different religions, we have to respect that one. Okay. Next number, please. What is the function of funeral practices and rituals? To help resolve family conflicts, to help the bereaved family cope with grief and to reestablish community bonds after the loss of a community member, to take the bereaved family's attention away from the death of the individual and reaffirm life's deeper meaning. It's ironic because if you say you're taking the attention away from the death of the individual, then why are you doing that particular ritual? Diba? It would just remind you repeatedly how painful it is. Or to give family and friends the opportunity to cut ties with the deceased and continue on with their lives. So, best answer for this, you could probably resolve family conflicts, but it's to help the brave family coping with the grief. Kay, they can actually reestablish the bonds as there are other community members who would be there and would actually share with the grief that they are having at that particular moment. Next number. Number 20. So, what is the common problem with advanced directives? A is that they are not enforceable by law and therefore doctors and family frequently disregard them. Is it true? Many people cannot or will not write a living will because their religion condemns it as a form of suicide. Mm-hmm. Probably partly. In some cases, people will change their minds as they near death, but they will not get a chance to change their advance directive. All of you are answering letter C. What with letter D? It does not fulfill its main function of relieving doctors of responsibility for stopping treatment. So there are quite issues, no? But if you look at it practically, what actually happened, no? Um, People, including the patient as well as the family members, would have this tendency to change their minds, like when they are exhausted already or when they are anxious of a certain feeling, specifically if they are having a disease which is involving the lungs or the heart, no, murag na, then they would tend to revise it, but by orally, but they could not change the directive already. Okay, let's move on. What role do medical records play in proving medical negligence? As I've been telling you repeatedly, what you are doing to what will you be doing to the patients, it always has to be documented, not necessarily on what particular area of the chart. It could be in the side notes as long as you are documenting it. So, medical records are irrelevant to negligence claims. They are the sole piece of evidence required to prove negligence, not that. They provide crucial evidence of the treatment provided and the professional's decision making process, and they can only be used as evidence if signed by the patient. Of course, the patient doesn't have to sign that one. So, although the chart is the name on the chart is the name of the patient, but it doesn't mean that that's his chart. He would then be it would then be okay for him to write anything. So it's only the doctor. It's the only person who is allowed to do the writing, to do orders. No, patients can do writings, but not orders. They can write as like they express their refuse, and of particular importance when the hospital doesn't have a template for that, so they can actually write it in any part of that chart as long as it's on a part piece of paper. In that written part there where you are trying to describe what you are doing or even your plans, that would tell the people if it happened already, it's being investigated. Now it is actually an evidence that you are um brainstorming and you are thinking it over on how you could best deal with the patient's condition. Okay, so the answer for that is of course letter C. Let's go to the next number. How does specialization affect a medical professional's duty of care? So we are trying to figure out a generalist from a specialist. Okay, is there any difference? Okay, is it all medical professionals owe the same duty of care regardless of specialization? Is this true? Specialists owe a higher duty of care compared to general practitioners. Is this true? Duty of care is reduced when a medical professional is a recognized specialist. So does it mean that um, a specialist has a lower duty of care? Specialists have no duty of care toward their patients. So right for out magid kayo na. So the best answer for that, or the only answer for that, yes, it's letter B. Remember that. But do not think for yourselves na I don't want to become a specialist because of this duty. No, you can actually do it. You don't do it overnight. It's there is actually no shortcut for that. You acquire the knowledge and you acquire the skill at the time. Okay, let's move on. What is required for a patient's consent to be considered legally valid in the context of risk disclosure? What do you think? A. The patient was aware of all possible outcomes. Probably he has the idea, but you couldn't expect him to have a full understanding on those outcomes that you are trying to explain. Is that B, the patient consented to the treatment after being informed of significant risk? This is more practical. How about letter C? The patient's family consented on their behalf. So if the patient is still capable of deciding why with a family man, the medical professional believed that the patient understood the risk. We don't have to presume. We shouldn't. No, so the best answer for this is yes, you are correct. 24. The following persons in the order of priority stated her under may give consent. So you really have to remember this. So especially when you are dealing with patients or for yourselves, no? So it should be in hierarchical order. So if the patient is married, do not go immediately to the son or daughter or the parents. Of course, you go first with the spouse. And then after the spouse, what would it be? Is it the son or daughter or the parents? In the sibling, and the last would be the guardian. Okay, so the perfect answer for that is letter A. Okay, I hope you wouldn't forget that. Number 25. So we are into some of the situations. A gay couple wants to have a child, and a close female friend volunteers to be a surrogate to them. The couple is unable to afford IVF, so instead, one of the men has intercourse with a friend and she conceives. Which of the following statements is or are correct? Is it A, the woman and the man whose gametes created the embryo have parental authority? Is it true? Yes. It is up to the female friend to voluntarily forfeit her parental right. Puede? Puede. It is up for the man's male partner to formally adopt the child. Puede? Or is it only A and C? Okay. So whether capitalized or small letters, the answer for that is letter E. Okay. Next, agoy, very microscopic. A 35-year-old woman established, hi, primary care at the clinic 3 months ago. Last month, she arrived and announced, urgently requesting to see the same physician. Due to a cancellation, she was seen later that day for the complaint of a rash on her chest. OMG, I remember Rodolfo. The male physician completed a thorough but unremarkable physical examination in the presence of a female nurse practitioner. 2 weeks later, the patient comes to the same physician's office at closing time and without an appointment. She complains of needing to talk to the doctor immediately about a private matter. She informs the receptionist that it is absolutely critical for her to be seen. And I remember Milo and examined for similar skin complaints that seem to come and go and itch frequently, including the touching of the nose. Okay, just to wake you up. The patient is calm but insists that an appointment with a female nurse practitioner is not acceptable and instead request to see the physician privately without the presence of another staff member. Okay. The question is, which of the following would be the most appropriate initial response by the physician? Initial lang nga, initial response. Okay, is it ask the patient to have a seat in the office and proceed with the unscheduled appointment? Would you do that? Have the receptionist contact security to remove the patient from the premises? Or Rodolfo, have the receptionist instruct the patient to schedule an appointment during normal office hours. Instruct the receptionist to inform the patient that she must leave and not return to the clinic. Or transfer the patient's care to a partner who is on call for the evening and available by phone. O yapon. Okay, so the correct answer and where majority of you are into is letter C. Very good. Ana ha, walay pabor-pabor. You really have to do that. Okay, so next number 27, Dr. A. So This is about the doctor whom we loved, orthopedic surgeon with that issue, found himself behind bars mainly because of technicalities and died there of a heart attack while doing missionary work for sick fellow inmates. Records show he was found by the Metropolitan Trial Court guilty of reckless imprudence, resulting in serious physical injuries to a patient who suffered a severe infection in the knee under his treatment due to a non-sterilized diagnostic tool called arthroscope. The question is, which of the following defense strategy cannot be employed on this case? Letter A. The accused exercise the accused exercised due diligence and care in the situation, and the occurrence was beyond their control or could not have been foreseen. Pwede ba ni? Okay, so these things that we are talking about are the very common defense strategies that a doctor can have to defend himself. Okay, let me continue with the letter B. Alleged reckless act was not the proximate cause of the injury or damage. Nagdali sa Ms. Jubil ba? The injured party contributed to or exacerbated the harm through their own negligence. And D, challenge the sufficiency and credibility of evidence presented by the prosecution. Okay, so Jubil has given you the answer already. Okay, so um again, these are the most common defense strategies a doctor can have to defend himself. But for Dr. A's case, you cannot use letter C. It's very clear that his client or the patient rather did not show any contributory negligence on his part. Okay, clear ha? We'll move on to the next number. A 60-year-old male physician who is an internist has had a female patient for the last 20 years. Both lost their spouses several years ago. They start spending time together outside the office. The female patient wants to begin a sexual or romantic relationship with the physician. I had so many in my mind because there were four of them. What should he tell her? Okay, try to consider that this is already a mutual relationship. We suppose that it's not just the female or ano ba? So what should he tell her? Is it letter A? I can never do that with you ever. Is it B? We can be social but not sexual. C. We need the ethics board approval first. Would you tell that? Or letter D, I cannot date you and be your doctor. Maybe in the future we can date after you, ano po to? After you can look for another doctor or can find another doctor. What do you think? Aba, I cannot date you and be your doctor. Maybe in the future. Sige, that's majority of you are having as answers. Okay, so that is the best answer for that. Okay. Um, the other words that you are supposed to tell, the other options are not supposed to be told, no? Okay. Mahiubos. Okay, you don't need the ethics board as long as you're not anymore the doctor. But if you stay as the doctor at the same time the the lover dating, that cannot be. Okay, I hope this is clear, huh? Okay, let's move on to number 29. It's very small. A 44-year-old psychology professor with a chronic history of rheumatoid arthritis presents for a follow-up examination. She is currently taking prednisone. Thank you. And infliximab, a regimen that has successfully stabilized her condition. Physical examination reveals no significant changes. Toward the end of the visit, she mentions that she would like to try acupuncture as an adjunct treatment in addition to the medication she is currently taking. What is the most appropriate response to her request? If you're the doctor, would you say, "I'm sorry, but I am not very familiar with acupuncture and I'm reluctant to combine the two therapies"? Or would you tell, "I hope you're aware that acupuncture has its limitation"? C. If you want to try acupuncture, I cannot continue serving you as your physician. Oh, strict. D. Why do you want to try acupuncture? Or E. How can an educated woman like you suggest something like this? What is your answer? Okay, there is no other answer for that. The other options here are just Jaba, teasers, uh, noise senses. Okay, so the best for that is you just have to ask, why do you want it? Okay, so that would be the beginning of your very long conversation because you have to anticipate that the patient would really have lots of questions because in her mind she already is planning to do that. Bisag supakon ra jud ka. Okay. Last question. A 46-year-old husband works abroad and is scheduled to go home in the next few days. I remember Vaughn. His 28 years old wife decided to surprise him. Oh, but when went to an aesthetic clinic. The wife narrated she signed a consent form via AI scribe technology. The wife looked pretty good, but the husband isn't comfortable to her new look. He filed a complaint against his wife's doctor stating that consenting through AI is not acceptable. Okay, the question is which of the following statements is not true? Letter A, informed consent through AI is invalid. Would you immediately say that it's invalid? Letter B, while AI scribes can enhance documentation efficiency, errors in AI generated notes can lead to significant liability issue. Physicians remain responsible for the accuracy of medical records. C. The regulatory landscape surrounding AI tools in healthcare is still evolving. That's true. And D. Patients should be openly informed verbally and in writing about the use of AI scribes, including how their data will be handled and the benefits of using such technology. You're changing your answers, Nano? Okay. If you can see, um, the later choices are true, diba? So it's true that AI tools in healthcare is still evolving. Then, if we use it as a means of documentation, when we think about its efficiency, of course, it can be enhanced, but it is not devoid of errors, no? AI generated notes. So if you are the one advocating, if you're the physician who would be advocating AI scribe, then you should check the notes, its accuracy, and you cannot just immediately say na AI is invalid because the patient signed it there, but it remains our obligation that the patient should be openly informed verbally and also in writing. So you don't just leave them sign there. You have to explain now. This clinic is using AI scribe, AI generated technologies. So tell me if you agree with this, or should we just use the conventional form, like the form of paper and pen or so? And if they are okay with that. So the one which is not true here is okay, it's letter A. Okay, so I think that is the last question, and let's move on to the next slide. So here, these are giveaways. You can see for yourselves these words. Bahala na mo. Okay, so again, giveaways. Up to you. Chinese versus Japanese. And the words which are here, they are all coming out. So as I promised you, I'm giving giveaways. Again, for the next slide, I will give extra 5 points to those who are attending tonight. Okay, so I hope it made your day. So that would be my last slide. And thank you everyone for joining, and God bless all of you.
Thank you,
Welcome.
Dave. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Doc. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you,
Merry
Doc.
Christmas.
Doc.
Merry Christmas,
Doc.
Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
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 Thank you, 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 Doc.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Doc.
Doc.
Okay, I'm moving out.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Doc.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Doc.